Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Venkat Chapara, plant pathologist at Langdon Experiment Station. Thanks, Anita, for the introduction. Uh, I would have preferred Ron before me than in yes, but you have to deal with me because people I have heard all over my life, like as, when I speak about diseases, horticulture people, other people will show beautiful pictures of flowers, fruiting trees, and here I come and see sobbing, wilting plants and dying plants. So I just saw couple of Ron pictures, so they were very beautiful. So that's why I would have preferred Ron before me. My topic is current and potential disease threats for canola in North Dakota. I would deal with a little bit of what we saw in 2024, then the diseases that infected canola in North Dakota, research done at Langdon Research Center, and the little bit of results here and there as needed, and I will summarize my talk. Before we go to my talk, I have to introduce to the weather of canola capital, that is Cavalier County. This is from Endon Center at Langdon, and you see all the rainfall, how much we got during the cropping season, starting from planting to harvesting. So to just give you guys an idea, so when it is very wet, you guys can expect what it will be like with diseases. Usually we kid around in Langdon like, hey, if the farmer wants an inch of rain, I wanted an inch and a half rain because I wanted to see good disease infections in my trials. That's selfish I was. But this year, I don't want to see this kind of rainfall anymore. Speaking of my trials, these are the trials which we planted on May 21st. Look at them after 15 days. So they were struggling, and most of the time, I think, even if the farmers planted at around that time, probably you guys have seen that kind of situation, especially in Cavalier County. And speaking of the diseases, which were, when you name it, when so much of rain in the ground, all the pathogens which are laying and over wintering for so many years got a nice environment. They got activated and started inoculating canola crop in our area. We started with root rot complex. This is the first call from a farmer. At flowering stage, he was seeing this kind of wilting, and you see that wired taproot and girdling at the crown region. That's the first problem. Well, then we found that it is due to root rot complex. 3 fungal pathogens together can cause that kind of symptoms on a canola crop. So imagine if it is very wet and you can see every pathogen gets activated and try to infect our canola crop. And then blackleg, as usual, it showed up this year, and I didn't estimate it exact what are the amounts of incidences, but it has pretty much, when I was scouting for verticillium, another disease which we have been, it has been quite common for the past 3-4 years in our area. So we have to look for another disease along with blackleg, and it's not that easy to manage verticillium as we managed with blacklegs. So we will talk further about it in further slides. As usual, we get white mold, and we know what to do, and everybody here in this room know that what we can do for if we have. It's a regular problem in our area. And then the other sorry. Oh. You see the galls over here. This is only north and southern portion of Cavalier County. You see here and there. This is clubroot. It's a it showed up again this year. I will speak more about when time comes. Root rot, severe root rot infections. You see this patch, big patch, and when we go and inspected each plant, that's how they look like. Right away, without any examination or microscopical examination, I can tell that which pathogen has caused that. So this pinkish stems at the bottom and reddishness is there, it's caused by Rhizoctonia. And there are others which were brownish girdling, those are Fusarium. If there is also Pythium, another pathogen which can occur very early, it is caused by Pythium, water mold. What can we expect when there's so much of water in the field? The water mold gets activated and gets infected. When all these three pathogens infect, even blackleg can be dangerous in that kind of situations. So here, look at this. This is the brown girdling where we saw. It's caused by Fusarium. And this purplish color is caused by Rhizoctonia. Early in the in the season, this is how the Pythium infection starts. So it weakens the seedlings, okay? And then you can see the girdling, and then if it survives and the late, you can see this kind of girdling at the crown region. And also we saw severe white mold infections. In some fields, I thought they said they sprayed, but still you see a lot of big patches of white mold I have seen. It's giving me a lot of research ideas, but I won't express right now. Then severe lodging. This is what lodging due to late season rains and winds. If the plants are very weak, you can see this kind of lodging. Also, another disease, verticillium, can cause a lot of lodging too. And severe pod shatter due to late season rains and winds we have seen in quite a bit of fields in our area. So all these symptoms we have noticed in 2024 season. I mentioned root rot complex. This is how the girdling, when the girdling starts and the plant can easily pulled off and get separated from the root, and it dies so we figured out like Pythium, Rhizoctonia, and Fusarium are the causal organisms. When the three occur together, this is the kind of the infections we see. Root rot include poor germination and reduced emergence. Then above ground symptoms of leaf yellowing, wilting, and stunting. Plants typically cannot recover once these above ground symptoms appear, obviously. The severity of root rot is exacerbated under wet conditions. That's what we saw. It can lead up to 35% of yield losses. And we took it to the lab and we isolated the pathogens from girdling, and from here, these are the three pathogens we have successfully isolated. This is Fusarium, this is Rhizoctonia, this is Pythium. All three together has caused these problems. Thanks to my research specialist, Larissa, she did an awesome job to isolate all the pathogens whenever I collect samples, give samples to her. So speaking of this root rot complex, at that stage and flowering, when we figured it out what to do, nothing can be done at that stage. Everything is a proactive approach we have to follow. It's very challenging to manage. That's why only partial resistance available. We don't know how our commercial available varieties can do to root rot complex. There are cultural practice, diverse crop rotations, and practice of longer rotations. Fungicidal seed treatment can improve canola emergence and yield. There are good fungicidal treatments are available. In all, an integrated approach is needed. The next important disease I wanted to speak about is verticillium stripe. It's becoming a potential threat. We should be very careful about this. Sometimes it mimics blackleg. So both blackleg and verticillium can occur together, and the losses we can't imagine. There will be more amount of losses. How can we identify? Some people say that half leaf yellowing we see very rarely, and half stem yellowing we see very often in our area. And then when you pull off, the lower stem gets shredded. When you pull off, you will see microsclerotia there. When you cut it, you see there is a difference. It's a pretty good picture from Canola, Council of Canada. when you cut across the crown region, you see light brownish color for verticillium disease infections. If it is dark, it is black leg. If it's nothing, it is just clean, that is the healthy one. So that's, you need a lot of expertise to separate verticillium to black leg at this stage. And you see severe lodging at this stage. And what it is caused by? Fungal pathogen called Verticillium longisporum. Verticillium dahlia we have heard in several other crops. It's similar genus, but longisporum only infects brassicas. That is canola, cabbage, cauliflower, all of them. So we have to be very careful in choosing other crops. So here, when it says that when it infects only brassica, please avoid other brassica crops. I know in our area we don't have any other brassica crop except canola. So we have a lot of other crops as an option to go for. Think about that. Yield losses can be expected up to 50%. So again, another thing, like it could be a very dreadful disease to our canola. Verticillium and blackleg symptoms can be seen on the same plant. Interaction between L. maculans, longisporum, and Leptosporia maculans and Verticillium longisporum may cause severe losses in canola, as I mentioned earlier. So how can we manage it? Longer crop rotations. No resistant varieties are available. No fungicides are available. So with this, these are the only management practices we have, and the cultural practices are clean your equipment if you have verticillium in your field before going to the other field. So based on that knowledge, we have designed our research projects. We surveyed for the past 3 years how long it has spread in every canola growing county. Seed treatments, are there any which are very effective against these verticillium? And varietal screening. What if the varieties which we are using among the commercial varieties, are they have any difference in tolerating verticillium? And we have come to know that neutral to high pH favors verticillium stripe. You have to see that, then it will be a problem. If it is low pH, clubroot is a problem. If it is high pH, verticillium and other deadly diseases being a problem. So is that true? So I wanted to figure it out. So I'm still working on it. There are some correlation studies needed. These are the my survey results from 2022. In 2020, we observed in Cavalier County and other counties. From then, we started scouting for this disease. These are the counties which I scouted, and we had around 21% of the fields are positive. 20% of the fields are positive with verticillium. Remember, 2022 was an average good year in terms of moisture. Verticillium in 2023. These are the counties, again, I repeated over here, and we had less infections in 2023. Why? It's a dry year, right? So look at the 2024 survey. We almost did in 18 counties of major counties which grow canola. Good thing it's spreading to south too. So in all these counties which we did, Walsh County has the highest incidence of 58%, followed by Cavalier County. These are all then Pierce County, then Rolette County. Cavalier, Pierce, Cavalier, Rolette, then Pierce. These are all high canola growing acreage we have. If somebody is in Batno has 27%. So yeah, this is how it is present in every county where we grow canola. The high incidences depends upon how frequently you grow canola in your field. So as I mentioned, there were no resistant varieties available. So what if our commercial varieties have any tolerance to verticillium? So we checked all the prominent varieties. Here we have some cropland genetics, then some invigor varieties we included, and we saw that this cropland genetics variety here what's the number? 9978. That has the low incidences of verticillium. It's around close to 20% of incidence. Then you take other varieties like these blue dots indicates the amount of disease incidence we had, and 255, it's an old variety, it's no longer available, but I just threw in there. So it has around 50% of incidence over there. This in vigor variety around 350 PC, it gave good yields and moderately susceptible. It has verticillium, has pretty good amounts of verticillium too, but it did well. So you can figure it out. I'm providing this in our annual report of Langdon REC. You can figure out which variety has what amount of verticillium. If it is a wet year like last year, again it's going to show up in higher amounts in our area. Then we are also trying seed treatments from 2023. Here are I tried on L233P because that is the seed I have without any seed treatments on it. So I treated them in our lab. Leave this experimental. It's doing very good, and somehow that is no longer available for the commercial sale. That got good yield in 2023, followed by Indigosol. Sorry, what is that? Yeah, Prosper Evergold and Trilex. But Salpro is a pretty good one too. It has good yields too. Then you see non-treated, we have 2,800 pounds per acre. Indigosol is less than that. So we have some response among the yields, not among the incidence or severity of the disease. Now in 2024, it's wet year. Everybody know that we got less canola yields, and you see here my non-treated, the same treatments I used in 2024 too. Non-treated, I had 1685 pounds per acre. The highest I got in the experimental, again, it's not available, and the low amount of verticillium. So on, Evergold, and the next one is Rancone Summit. It has 1875. So they are pretty good. When you compare with the non-treated, they are showing pretty good response. So it's again, we have some options. I'm going to continue this research again. So I wanted to have a solid data. One is a dry year, one is a wet year. Some chemicals are consistently showing the same response. So something to consider. We can put in our management options. Then the third disease which I wanted to talk about is clubroot on canola. It is, we know that it's only in Cavalier County in the eastern part, and it can be a deadly disease. It's caused by a very lower living organism which is grouped into Protista. It has the characters of plant, animal, and fungal. So it took all the bad qualities from all the living organisms, and it's hard for us to control with a herbicide or a fungicide or a bactericide. So we have to create a new kind of chemical for it. At the same time, it left one loophole for us is that, which we can work on, is it can be effective only in acidic soils. So if you have low pH in your soils, that's where you have to avoid not to have clubroot in your soils. If you have clubroot, it can be there very easily. It spreads easily through equipment, through wind, water, you name it. Whatever moves the soil, it moves the pathogen. So if you have acidic pH in your soils and you are going for canola, be careful. This is what we see, and we do the clubroot survey. We go and stop and this kind of large patches and pull the plants. And if you see the galls, they say this is a positive for us. If I don't find, I collect the soil samples, and then we try to figure it in the lab by collecting the DNA. So here are my club root results. I have gathered from 2013. This is when it was identified first time by Ron and other group, and then it started increasing. All the orange ones are the increase bars. In 2018, we got out of 102 fields we surveyed, we got 31 fields in our area with club root. Then we started working actively on it, and the next year, this is when we started using resistant varieties. Whatever the varieties you see here, the 4% what we got is that they are not using resistant varieties. So since then, whoever using susceptible varieties, we are seeing club root in them. By 2022, everybody used club root resistant varieties. Nothing. In 2023, one susceptible one still. In 2024, all our resistant varieties, we found in 10 fields this year who used resistant varieties has club root in them. So that means resistant varieties are no longer working in those fields. So it is a concern for us. We have to be very careful in dealing with this. I wanted to share a Canadian story here. Canadians have observed club root in their fields in 2003. By 2009, they got the first resistant variety. By 2013, the resistance is no longer working. Same thing is happening over here. By 2019, we started using resistant varieties. By 2024, they are no longer effective. So what are the varieties I found? I'm not naming any company, but here are the varieties. This is first generation variety with Liberty Link and Roundup Ready. We saw severe club root in that. It's a resistant variety, heavy losses to that farmer. And the other group is another variety, CR4, it's the company's identification. It's a Liberty Link 2, severe club root. And I have seen in patches, wherever the patches are there, they are completely dead. We can't get anything out of it. And resistant to currently predominant pathotypes, this is how the company says. And it has Liberty Link and Roundup Ready too. It has 100% DSI and severe club root patches. And this is a next generation variety with Liberty Link and foul counts in low levels at less than 5%. Yeah, so we can give a leverage to this variety because no variety is 100% resistant. There is 5 to 10% you can have a mix or something like that. You can still see susceptible plants. I categorize this variety in that. So these three varieties, we have to be very careful. They are all first generation varieties. This is what we found in huge patches. That's all over the field. And when you go, everything is dying during flowering. So it's such a pathetic situation. Probably he lost a lot of yield in that. So what to do if you have that kind of situation? Canadian-based research has found that switching from 1 in 2 to a 1 in 3 year rotation, like one crop of canola in 3 years, can drop the spore loads, that's the pathogen loads, to 90%. So if you have seen this kind of worse problems, switch to this kind of rotation, probably it will help you guys. Current rotation, which I recommend is, canola, wheat, then field pea or soybean or sunflower or dry bean, then go for wheat, then canola. So if the worst situations, what I show in the last pictures, if you work with this kind of rotation, probably it might help. But still, at this stage, you have to go for second generation varieties. Use of resistant cultivars highly recommended with cultivar rotations. Okay. The last. Okay. Black leg, as usual, it is there in our area. So every year, the farmers do very good job in selecting good varieties. There are plenty of varieties available. Rotating here, how we can manage longer rotations and rotate resistant cultivars, and we have seed treatments too. This is how the varieties are designated, thick resistant varieties, because we have a lot of blackleg in our area. And we tried some seed treatments, and we have currently Salto is available. It's still good, and Evergoal Energy did good too in our my trials. Rancona Summit. This is 2023 results when it's dry, so I got higher yields. This is 2024 results. You know, you see that Salto still did good around 2,000 pounds per acre. So yeah, you can. I made all the seed treatments which are working. You can pick one, and I presented these results in the annual report. White mold, as usual, we see it's a very destructive disease, and it can cause up to 7 to 15% yield losses. You see the pictures, we see this very often. The sclerotia are very important for causing the next year's disease. So I think that all our farmers follow the forecasting module here, which generates the risk map. If it is red, and if you have a canola crop standing in your crop with flowering, so then you are at risk. This is red, so go for we have good fungicides sprays available for fungicide sprays. At 20 to 30% flowering, we need one, and follow all the guidelines. I recommend everybody to follow this risk forecasting module of NDSU, NDON, and NCGA. This is my fungicidal trial last year. Again, I mentioned that it's very wet here. You can expect a lot of white mold. That's what it happened. It's a non-treated, has around 965 pounds per acre. This is the treated with Proline. We can have almost the double amount of yield. So in our area, we want at least one spray of fungicide at 20 to 30% flowering to manage white mold. Summary: accurate diagnosis is essential. The rotation of varieties and longer crop rotation works for blackleg. So I highlighted longer crop rotation for all the diseases. So most of the diseases which you go for longer crop rotation, we can reduce the risk. Likewise, white mold, this is the only way of disease where we can go for a fungicide at 20 to 30% of flowering. Clubroot, first generation varieties are no longer effective. If anybody has clubroot, be careful. Longer rotations helps again. The pathotype study we are currently is undergoing. Verticillium stripe is prevalent in almost all the counties which we surveyed. 1 in 4 is rotation helps in ND if you have severe problems. Seed treatments and varietal resistance seems working, however needs extensive research on it. The one with this statement, I'm going to close my talk. Growing multiple canola varieties can spread out the risk and produce some insurance. Please consider this if it might work. Last year I saw one farmer, he used one single variety in all his fields, and the disease is the same disease is in every field, like 6 fields of huge acreage, they have the same disease. So if he has gone for the different variety, probably the extent of losses might be less. That's what I think. I would like to thank my research specialists, Amanda and Larissa. To all the growers, I have very cooperative growers in all the counties where I survey. Nobody stopped, and they were curious to know what's going on, and I had learned a lot that Western counties go for longer rotations than us. So I felt so happy, but this is aligning with my kind of thoughts. So I had a very good interaction with a lot of farmers. So I'm very thankful to them. Likewise, industry reps and collaborators, they send all the chemicals, varieties whenever I need without any inhibition. I would be able to do my research. Likewise, Northern Canola Growers Association, Northern Canola Research Program for funding. Barry and his team and Tim Mickelson and all the Canola board members, they give me constant updates and guidance. I'm very thankful to them. And summer students. With this, I would like to end my talk, and I'll be happy to answer questions.